People are of course asking for comparisons, and I can't keep up at this moment. I have so much stuff to do, and looking at these new devices, it's just one invasion. Every month new releases, revisions, updates, you name it. It's just one big nightmare sometimes to review. Well, for example, if you look at the devices, the main core where it's running on. So for example, we're having nowadays a lot of Android based systems. I'm personally very happy with the Android based systems because it gives you a lot of freedom. You can install the apps, the emulator, or it's basically just Android games that you want to play. The only downside I did notice with Android devices, they're using a lot of old Android firmware and software versions. For example, I have some great Polaroid or other brands laying around, but they are running still on the Android version 4.4 or a similar version, and that is something that I think, why? And there is, so far I know, no way of updating it. So when you're buying these things for not a lot of money, most of the time around the $50, but you're stuck with the old software. And that is something that I think there is no, let's say, affordable, good solution if it comes to Android portable gaming. Then we have the Anbenic versions. I love Anbenic. Again, it gives you some freedom. And the reason why I'm saying some, because if you look at, let's say, the Android versions, you have so much stuff you can install. And with the Anbenic, it's so great. It's a still growing community. More devices are supporting this software. That makes it really awesome. And the community is just so cool that they are doing this effort of porting games, trying to improve the system in general. So, and the Chinese making a lot of great hardware for it. So in combination, the Anbenic is also one of my favorites at the moment. And we have so many forms if it comes to portable device itself, how it looks. We have a lot of options. So that brings us to the Pi-based systems. A lot of things are happening over here. If you look at the Pi system, because now we have very expensive, but also have very affordable devices. So let's talk about the beginning. I started with, let's say, the Game Boy Pis. First of all, the first was funny playing, and I really love the Pi. I really love how it plays, how it looks, and just great to have this original classic system with the Pi inside. The LCL has the deluxe edition with EPS screen and a joystick. Great system, I love it too. And there are some different form factors like GBA, and there are a lot of people making these Pi-based Game Boy systems. But we're having the One-Up brand. I picked them all up just to see how they were, but I did notice that they're pretty expensive, very complicated, very beautiful to look at, but not very comfortable to play. Some have very big issues, for example the screen. And then we have the Cool Baby. The Cool Baby has affordable Pi systems. Most of them have the CM3 module inside, and they are pretty fast and powerful, and you can play basically a lot of retro games on this device. But again, the Pi system had some little flaws. For example, it's very sensitive if it comes to the SD card. If you don't close it correctly, you can corrupt your SD card. So there are little things that I'm always a little bit afraid with the Pi systems. But nevertheless, Pi is really cool, and it gives you a lot of options to play retro games, to mess around with it, because if you have some little bit of knowledge of the Pi, if you don't know how it works, just basically go to ET Prime. He has super great tutorials, and he can help you out with all of your questions. Yeah. So looking back at all these kind of portable devices, it's very hard to keep up. And if you're a consumer or you're basically new to the scene of the portable systems from China, I think this is going to be one big jungle. And I try to help as much as possible with my videos to help you out which one will fit your need, because everybody personally have their own needs. Simply because you're interested in a certain amount of games, or you just want to have a certain form factor. And that is something that I hope my videos help out. So I'm very curious what brings 2020 and what kind of system they are bringing out. Because if you look at the new system they bring out, sometimes it's just a step back, to be honest. I don't know how you think of this, but if you're looking at certain, let's say, devices, you're playing or emulating games, thinking, yeah, okay, we have a new device, but it can't play PlayStation 1, for example. But there are other devices that can play it very easily. So that is, I hope in the future that they're bringing out affordable devices, decent quality, because let's be honest, we can't expect they bringing out a super quality product for a cheap price. That is not possible, that will never happen. But that they're having this, let's say, balanced system, plays nice, have a good screen, have a good support, and it brings new emulation. The technology is getting faster, it's getting cheaper. So someday we need to have an affordable system that can play basically everything. So again, I want to hear from you. What do you think of these portable devices and what kind of version do you own? Alright, so let's talk about the Android versions. There are so many Android versions out there with old, new and crappy software. But I just wanted to focus on my 3 favorite I own here. So I really love the GPD. The GPD comes in 2 versions. We're having the older Android version and the new version. I still own the old version, works just fine. And if you can find the older version, it's a little bit cheaper than the XD Plus. And again, it's a high quality product. It comes with some, let's say, stock Android version from the Android GPD version. It's not the best. You can even, if you want to, you can reinstall it. Nevertheless, it's not very cheap, but it is a quality product I still love. Alright, so let's talk about the GXD. Very thick, very big, 7 inches of fun, people. I love the big screens. I know a lot of you love 7 inches of screens, but the only downside this thing has is that it comes with Android 4.4 or something similar. And that limits you to, let's say, the Android apps. A lot of stuff don't work on it. So this is a little bit of a bummer if you ask me. So if it comes to GXD, very nice product. If you just want to play old school emulation, it works just fine, or old Android. But if you want to spend some money and you're thinking, I want to buy one product that can basically plays it all, we're having the MoQ. This is what we call a very expensive phone gaming device. It's Android, it comes with the newest Android version. Keep in mind, you're having 2 versions. This is the i7, you also have the i7s that even has the latest firmware. It's a little bit better than the normal version, but nevertheless, both are great devices. Has a lot of power inside, a lot of potential. I think the best of the best, but this thing is crazy expensive. But these are my favorites. Alright, so let's talk about the Open Dingus editions. There are a lot of more of these portable devices out there, but I'm just grabbing some I have laying around. So these are my favorite ones. So let's talk about the LDK. So this is a very tiny device. The only downside I can find of is the form factor. If you're having big hands, this will not be very comfortable and will cramp up your hands. But this is a very affordable device. It's more feeling like a cheap Toys R Us toy if you look at it. So, but here comes the Retro Game 300. I love this. It's a little bit with the same price range like the LDK, but you can adjust more for your money. I really love the D-pad. It's still very small, but it is very comfortable. Nice shoulders, buttons and everything. I love it. It's just a beautiful device. It comes, by the way, with a very big battery inside. Alright, here we have the LDK landscape. It's very cool that they made this LDK landscape. Comes with a little bit of dust over here, but I really love it. It's still more like this cheap feeling. It's a little bit better if it comes to comfortable for your hands. It's quite expensive. But if you want to say, okay, I want to have an Open Dingus system that is a little bit more powerful and just want to have this a little bit an extra and don't mind the cash, then the Retro Game 350 is a very popular device. It's very high quality. You can maybe hear it on the microphone. It's just a little bit better like all the other devices. But again, this is the most expensive version if it comes to all the Open Dingus versions. Again, it's more like I'm giving my personal opinion about these devices, and what you can do with it is more like what do you personally prefer if it comes to models and of course what kind of budget you are on. Alright, so let's talk about the Pi, and not the one you can eat, my friends. No, the Pi you can play and emulate games on. But the reason I choose these 4, simply because not only they're my favorite one, but all the other ones have a lot of pros cons, and most of the time the other ones are freaking expensive. So with the Pi versions, first of all, this is the first version I already got, what I already mentioned, the Pi version from Funny Playing. It's a basic device, it's just a Game Boy shell with a Pi inside. The screen is pretty decent, but these are not, I would say, very cheap, but not also very expensive. If you have, let's say you want to have this original Game Boy shell, but you still want to have this extra premium quality, the LCL, this version is just a little bit better like the Funny Playing. You have not only the joystick, but you're having an IPS screen and everything is just a little bit better and let's say if you look at the quality and how it's built. But if you're thinking, I want to have this project, the GPI case. I love this thing from Retroid. It's a fun build. It works on old school batteries, by the way, but there are some solutions for this. But nevertheless, this is a very fun build to do. It's not very cheap. It's cheaper than these solutions, but it's a funny, really cool thing to do. Just for 2019, I think this is something that was very unique. And here we're going to get to the cool baby. And the reason why I wanted to say the cool baby, this is the landscape edition. We also have the different version, but I just grabbed this one. Alright, so the first thing I had a problem with was the screen, that it was broken. That on arrival. But if you look at the build quality, and that is the reason I really love this. It's a CM3 module inside, so it's quite powerful. It's almost compared with the Raspberry Pi 3, and correct me if I'm wrong. But if you look at the price, these things were pretty cheap. So to give you more like an idea, so this thing has the price like, let's say in the middle of the GPI case and the Funny playing and the LCL. But it still is a big 5-inch screen, and it's not an EPS screen, don't get me wrong. But still, you have a lot of things getting for your money. So I just wanted to show you my 4 favorite Pi systems. So I want to thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell, become one of the Wicked family. And if you have any questions, you can always leave it in the comments.